Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're going to be diving into the evolution of the internet.
Ooh.
It's going to be a wild ride from like Web 1.0 all the way to the frontiers of Web 3.0.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
really understanding these shifts, like it isn't just about keeping up with tech trends.
Right.
It's about understanding the very fabric of our digital lives.
Absolutely. And I think Web 3.0 in particular,
Yeah.
it isn't just a buzzword. It represents a potential paradigm shift with implications that reach far beyond just technology.
That's huge.
It could reshape, how we interact online, how
Yeah.
we do business, and even like how we perceive value in the digital world.
Okay, so let's set the stage here.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the early days of Web 1.0.
Okay.
It's almost quaint to think about it now, but it was pretty revolutionary at the time, like stepping into a giant digital library.
Yes, in the early 90s, it was revolutionary to have access to information in a way that we never had before. But
Yeah.
Web 1.0, as you say, was largely a one-way street. Think static pages, simple websites, the idea of user-generated content or interactive platforms, practically non-existent,
Right.
and the capacity for online payments. Forget about it.
It's wild to think about how much has changed.
Yeah.
Fast forward to Web 2.0, and it's like the internet exploded.
Yeah.
Suddenly, everyone's creating content, sharing their lives on social media, building online businesses.
Right.
It's incredibly dynamic and interactive. But this interactivity, it came with a hidden cost, didn't it?
Precisely. The very platforms that connected us
Yes,
in
sir.
unprecedented ways began collecting vast amounts of user data.
Yeah.
Every search, it all became a valuable commodity, and the control over that data,
Right.
it resided largely with a handful of powerful corporations.
And that lack of control has led to some serious concerns, right?
Absolutely.
We've seen high-profile data breaches, the rise of targeted advertising that can
Yeah.
feel eerily personal. And the idea that our online activities are being tracked and monetized without our explicit consent, it's unsettling.
Yes. It certainly sparked a conversation about data privacy and ownership. And this, in many ways, is what fueled the emergence of Web 3.0. It's a vision of a more decentralized internet where
Yeah.
users have greater control over their data, where power is distributed rather than concentrated.
So Web 3.0 relies heavily on blockchain technology.
Yes.
That's a term that gets thrown around a lot.
Right.
But I think a lot of people still find it a bit mystifying.
Yeah.
Can you break it down for us? What makes it so revolutionary?
At its core, blockchain is a distributed ledger technology. Imagine a digital record of transactions that isn't stored in one central location,
Okay.
but is replicated across a network of computers. This makes it incredibly secure and transparent.
So instead of a single company controlling the database
Right.
and potentially being vulnerable to hacks or manipulation, you have this distributed network that's constantly verifying and validating the information.
Exactly. And that's a game changer.
Wow.
It introduces the possibility of trust and transparency in a way that we haven't seen before in the digital world. And it has implications far beyond just cryptocurrency,
Right.
which is often what people first think of when they hear about blockchain.
Okay, so Web 3.0
Yeah.
is really building on this foundation of blockchain
Yeah.
to create a more equitable,
Yeah.
more transparent, and potentially more secure internet experience.
Yeah.
It seems almost utopian in a way.
It's certainly an ambitious vision.
Yeah.
And it's important to acknowledge that we're still in the very early stages. But what's exciting is that we're already seeing real-world applications being built on these principles.
Yeah.
Decentralized finance, or DeFi, is a great example. It's cutting out the middlemen in financial transactions, giving people more control over their assets.
So fascinating that we're starting to see this shift from centralized platforms to more decentralized models.
Yeah.
But to make this vision of a decentralized internet a reality, there's got to be a whole new infrastructure in place, right?
Absolutely. And that's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
Because this new infrastructure isn't just about technology. It's about new ways of thinking, new forms of collaboration, and a fundamental rethinking of how we interact and create value online.
All right. You've definitely piqued my curiosity. Let's delve into the specific building blocks of this Web 3.0 world.
Let's do it. So we're talking about like a whole new set of tools and technologies that are enabling this Web 3.0 world. One that's really caught my attention is Chainlink.
Chainlink, it sounds like something out of a science fiction movie.
It does have a certain ring to it, doesn't it? But it's actually a crucial piece of the puzzle. You see, for all its potential, blockchain has a bit of a blind spot.
Okay.
It's really good at managing information within its own network, but it's not so great at accessing data from the outside world. That's where Chainlink comes in.
So it's like a bridge between the blockchain and the real world, bringing in all sorts of data that wouldn't normally be accessible.
Precisely. Think of it as a secure pipeline bringing in information from stock prices and weather data to election results and supply chain logistics.
Wow.
This ability to connect blockchain to real-world data is essential for building truly powerful and versatile applications.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this all fits together.
Yeah.
So we've got blockchain as the foundation chain link, bringing in external data.
Yeah.
What about storing all this information? We're talking about massive amounts of data here.
That's right. And this is where decentralized storage solutions like Filecoin and Arweave enter the picture. Instead of relying on those massive centralized data centers that we're used to,
Right.
these platforms leverage a distributed network of computers to store data.
So it's like taking the concept of cloud storage but making it decentralized.
Yeah.
No single point of failure or control.
Exactly. Data is spread across multiple nodes in the network, making it much more resilient, transparent, and resistant to censorship. Plus, it opens up new possibilities for data ownership and control.
Right.
Instead of entrusting your data to a third party, you can choose to store it on a decentralized network where you have more say in how it's managed.
This is starting to sound less like science fiction and more like a glimpse into the future of data management. But with all this data floating around in a decentralized network, how do we make sense of it all? How do we find what we're looking for?
That's a great question. And it brings us to another fascinating building block of Web 3.0, the graph. Think of it as a kind of Google search engine, but specifically designed for blockchain data.
So it helps us navigate and query all this decentralized information.
Exactly. The graph indexes and organizes blockchain data, making it much easier for developers to build applications that can efficiently access the information they need.
Got it.
This is crucial for things like decentralized exchanges, prediction markets, and all sorts of other Web 3.0 applications that rely on real-time data.
I'm starting to grasp the scale of what we're talking about here. Chainlink brings in external data.
Yes.
Filecoin and Arweave provide secure and decentralized storage.
Right.
And the graph helps us make sense of it all. It's like a whole new internet ecosystem is being built right before our eyes.
And it's happening at an incredible pace.
Yeah.
While all this is going on, we're also seeing the rise of the metaverse, which is adding another layer of complexity and possibility to the Web 3.0 landscape.
Okay, let's talk about the metaverse.
Yeah.
It's a term that's been hard to ignore lately, but how does it fit into this Web 3.0 vision? Is it just about virtual reality headsets and gaming?
It's certainly much more than that. The metaverse, in many ways, can be seen as an early manifestation of the decentralized future that Web 3.0 envisions.
Okay.
It's a collection of interconnected virtual worlds where users can interact, create, and even own digital assets.
So we're talking about a convergence of virtual reality, social media gaming, and potentially even commerce, all built on this foundation of blockchain technology and decentralized principles.
Precisely. And this is where the lines between the physical and digital worlds start to blur.
Right.
Imagine attending virtual conferences, buying and selling digital real estate, or even owning digital art that's uniquely yours and can be traded or sold just like physical assets. The possibilities are really quite mind-boggling.
That's a lot to wrap your head around.
Yeah.
And I imagine there are still a lot of unknowns and challenges to overcome.
Sure.
But it's also incredibly exciting to think about the potential of this technology to reshape our world.
It certainly is. And while there are still technical, social, and even philosophical questions to be answered, the momentum behind Web 3.0 is undeniable. We're seeing a surge of investment, innovation, and creativity that suggests we're on the cusp of a major technological and societal shift.
I think what fascinates me most is the potential for a more inclusive and equitable digital landscape.
Absolutely.
One where users have more control over their data, where creators can connect directly with their audiences, and where the benefits of the digital economy are more widely distributed.
That's a vision that resonates with a lot of people. And while there's no guarantee that Web 3.0 will live up to all its promises, the fact that we're having these conversations, that we're exploring new models of online interaction and value creation, that's a sign of progress in itself.
It really feels like we're at a crossroads. And the choices we make now, the technologies we embrace, the values we prioritize, they're going to shape the digital world for generations to come.
And that's why it's so important for everyone to engage with these issues, to understand the potential benefits and risks of Web 3.0, and to participate in shaping this decentralized future. This isn't just about technology. It's about the kind of world we want to create.
So what does this all mean for our listener, for someone who's been following this conversation?
Right.
What are the key takeaways? What should they be paying attention to? Where can they go to learn more and get involved? I think for me, what stands out is this idea of reclaiming ownership. Like in Web 2.0,
Right.
we've become so accustomed to giving away our data, our attention, our creative output.
Right.
Web 3.0 seems to offer a different path.
Right.
One where we have more control over our digital lives and can benefit directly from the value we create.
It's a powerful shift in perspective. And it's not just about individual empowerment. It's about rethinking how we govern and manage our digital spaces. Decentralized autonomous organizations, or DAOs, are a fascinating example of this. They're essentially organizations run by code governed by their members.
Wow.
And operate with a level of transparency that's simply not possible with traditional hierarchical structures.
It sounds like Web 3.0 is pushing us to rethink a lot of assumptions.
Yeah.
Not just about technology, but about how we organize ourselves, how we create value, how we interact with each other online.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's still very early days. There are a lot of technical challenges to overcome, questions of scalability, security, and accessibility.
Right.
We need to make sure this new internet is truly open and inclusive, not just a playground for the tech savvy or the wealthy.
It's a reminder that technology is a tool. And, like any tool, can be used for good or for ill. The future of Web 3.0 isn't predetermined.
Yeah.
It's something we're all shaping through the choices we make, the projects we support, the conversations we have.
That's why it's so important to stay informed, to engage with these ideas, even if they seem a bit daunting at first.
Yeah.
The future of the internet is something we're all building together.
We've covered a lot of ground today, from the humble beginnings of Web 1.0 to the mind-bending possibilities of Web 3.0.
That's right.
But this is really just the tip of the iceberg.
It is.
If you're intrigued by what you've heard today, there are so many resources available to explore further.
There are countless online communities, podcasts, articles, and even educational courses dedicated to exploring Web 3.0.
Right.
And don't be afraid to experiment. Dive into some of these decentralized applications, get a feel for how they work, and see what resonates with you.
That's the beauty of this space. It's constantly evolving.
Yeah.
And there's always something new to learn. So stay curious, stay engaged, and who knows, maybe you'll be the one building the next groundbreaking Web 3.0 application.
Or maybe you'll simply be a more informed and empowered user navigating this new digital landscape with greater awareness and agency. Either way, it's an exciting time to be part of this evolution.
That's it for today's deep dive.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
We hope you found it insightful and maybe even a little bit inspiring. Until next time, keep exploring the frontiers of the internet.